Hi, it's Brian Newman with the Spotlight of Business Owner Show, and today we're thrilled to bring you Howard Morin. Hi, Howard. How are you?
Good morning, Brian.
Yeah, it's good to
Doing
see
pretty
you.
good.
Yeah, oh, good. Yeah, so he's with Helium Advisors, and yeah, I want people to learn about your business and what you do. But before we do, can you tell people a little bit about your background?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Brian. I grew up in South Florida. I'm just a curious kid who liked to tinker with stuff and always found it interesting to deal with numbers. And to be honest, how I got into this whole thing was around 16 years old. I delivered pizzas. I had some extra money, went to a bank one day and tried to invest it. This is before the internet. And basically got laughed out of the lobby at the bank. So obviously that was a life altering moment for me, Brian. And I think I wrote a couple of letters to some favorite football players just to kind of vent. No one ever wrote me back. And then I figured out I'll just solve it for myself. I went to the library and things like that and started doing some research and yeah, started investing at an early age and just kind of became a nerd when it came to finances and messing around with stuff. And then that evolved into a career working in big tech companies like Intel, having a chance to work overseas, Europe, Asia, both in technology but also in finance. And I always liked working with people and connecting, numbers and finance and things that people thought were difficult or daunting, making it easier to understand so they could apply it, and then really helping people kind of one-on-one or as a big audience. And I love what I do. So
Yeah.
and I kind of do this stuff kind of 24/7. So
Oh, wow. Wow. Well,
yep.
no, it looks, in reading your website, it looks like you've done a great job. I'm telling you. Helium, uh, Helium Advisors, can you let people know what do you guys do at
Yeah,
Helium
that's a great
Advisors?
question. I think we keep learning. It's an evolutionary thing, right? We started Helium, the overall brand, about 5 years ago in the Pacific Northwest. And that really spun off of really a really good team. My partner and I, Gary Russell, who's been an unbelievable partner. And now we just admitted a new partner, Nicole Johnson, who's just awesome. We've got great people around us. And we set it up originally as just financial planning, retirement advisory, working in partnership with Fidelity Investments. But then we expanded that to tax, right? Because we realized most of our clients, if not all of our clients, have to pay taxes. So somebody
Uh-huh.
needs to do their taxes. And then from there, we expanded it to a couple of other tax firms. And then we expanded our planning to more business advisory, 401k, those sorts of things. So the overall group contains Helium Advisors, where I spend a lot of my time, but also a couple of different tax and accounting firms that work with businesses and individuals and things like that. So we try to encompass essentially everything a family or a business owner, whether it's a big business or even a small mom and pop 1-2 person business, would need. But the most important thing, Brian, that we really hammer home with our staff is it's about advice, right? On
Hmm.
the advisory side, on the finance side, we're fiduciaries. Simple explanation is we have to do what's in your best interest, not in our best interest, right? And on the
Uh-huh.
tax, right, we're heavy in planning. So, what kind of advice? It may not always be what somebody wants to hear, but it's what they need to hear to make great decisions. So we're very advice heavy. And yeah, we love doing that. And we've been growing. We have awesome people. And obviously COVID has helped us evolve into some more technology and things like that, where we can work with anyone really anywhere. But yeah, that's kind of what we do.
Oh, okay. God, you do a lot. No, so how do people get started with investing?
You know, I I started before the internet, and my friends, we play football, pick up football on the street, and they laugh at me that I put $50 away every month in like what they called at the time a mutual fund. And I'd call every day, and I'd, on the phone and listen to the price of the fund go up and down. And then I realized the other fund I had, the price went up and down more or less, right? So that kind of was
Yeah.
intriguing, and I plotted on paper. It doesn't have to be that difficult. These days, I just tell people, right, whether they work with us or just go online, whether it's E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, Betterment, get started doing something, right? If you have a retirement plan with your employer, I always tell people, start with like 1%, just get started. A lot of things, Brian, and I've heard this from like podcasts and stuff. A lot of things, whether it's projects or goals or changing your life, never get finished because they don't get started, right? So you don't wake up out of bed shooting baskets like Michael Jordan, or you're not great finance person like JP Morgan, you got to start someplace. So I tell people, whatever it is, just get started, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I know, so if you're younger, that's probably the ideal age,
Mhm.
but I know even my father, he didn't start investing, until later,
Yep,
and it still was beneficial. You know
sure.
what I mean? But yeah, God, if you're younger, that's the best age.
And there's
So
some cool, just to add to that,
yeah.
it's gotten so easy, right? Especially now, a lot of the online platforms charge no commission, right? So there's no incentive or disincentive to buy like one stock or one company or a bond over the other. And what I tell people, especially younger folks coming out of college that, we intern or mentor, is, go out and go to Vanguard, pick a Vanguard fund that that owns the entire stock market, right? I know it's exciting to buy and sell, but a lot of times if you can just automate it, right? Every paycheck, couple dollars or whatever it is, stay broad, just get started with something. You can always figure out how to diversify and all those things later. The point is get used to it, get started and let the money work for you.
Oh, okay. Okay. How does your firm compare to TD Ameritrade or Schwab or Fidelity?
That's really a great question. So we are financial advisors. We're an advisory firm. Once again, fiduciary based, which means I've got to do for you, Brian. If you come in and say, "Hey, Howard, I need some help," I've got to look at your situation and give you the best advice possible. That's in your best interest, not necessarily the most profitable for me or the highest commission. And we don't work on commission anyway. But essentially, those firms allow individual investors like you and I could get off this call, go open up accounts and start buying and selling different holdings and kind of do it ourselves, right? There's tools.
Uh-huh.
We're an advisory firm. So we sit on top of those kind of platforms. In this case, Fidelity Investments. Our firm is actually a client of Fidelity Investments. So when clients come into us, all of their assets stay at Fidelity. They get a Fidelity statement, right? But it has their name as the client, our name as the firm. So it gives them that level of protection. And that's really the difference. And a lot of people are awesome doing it on their own, and I encourage that as well. And I help a lot of people, at least in my little community and in my network. But for those of us who need advice or are not sure or have had changes in their lives, that's really where we come in, and we love doing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so in reading your website, I know you guys provide a lot of other services
Mhm,
too.
mhm.
Can you mention some of those?
Sure. So what we found is, historically, we have clients everywhere, right? We have clients in the West Coast, the East Coast, the Southeast. Um, Clients who come in and need a financial plan, we do that, right? We really are real heavy plan focused, right? Imagine going out to try to build a house or any kind of big project without a plan. You're going to end
Uh-huh.
up with a lot of wood and nails and bolts, and it might look kind of out of whack, right?
Yeah.
So we really encourage people to develop a plan, whether it's really long term, short term, whatever it is. What are you trying to do, and then we figure out the investments on top of that. Um, with that said, those folks might already have a tax planner, a tax person. If they do, great. We make sure that there's great coordination. We call ourselves advice coordinators because we work with
Oh,
other attorneys and other CPAs. But if they need help, they might come in through the tax channel, the tax division of ours, and go, I really feel good about my taxes, but I don't have anyone to help me with financial planning. Well, you can work with our other, division, Helium Advisors. So we find ourselves working with all kinds of different cases, honestly, from one person, kind of retired, living by themselves, to trucking companies, to big tech companies, to small mom and pop, massage therapist. There's really no like, here's our like super perfect ideal client,
uh-huh.
because everyone has needs, right? It's not up to us to determine that. But yeah, so tax, bookkeeping, payroll, but also the financial planning and retirement planning.
Oh, okay. No, so again, I want to let our viewers know,
Sure.
yeah, we're talking to Howard Morin. Howard, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Probably our website, at least the main Helium Advisors website. So just simply Helium, like the element, advisors with an ORS.com. And I'm on there. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. You can simply Google my name. You'll find me eventually. Pretty easy to get a hold of, I would say. And then from there, you can see the other different divisions and things that we do. And yeah, I would say our website's probably the best route though.
Oh, okay. All right. And then, yeah, I was going to ask, I know some people, they're trying to like be cautious and not
Mhm.
get out of the house very much. Can people actually sign up and do your services on the internet or over the phone or through Zoom?
Absolutely. This
Oh,
is once again another, wonder of technology. So for the most part, we built the advisory firm back in 2016 to take advantage of really everything online, right? Because we had clients everywhere, right? We really do. And then, as you can imagine, Brian, you've got some experience in this. The tax business is more of a touchy-feely, hands, paper, drop it off, pick it up. And
mm-hmm.
obviously COVID over the past year and a half, has changed that. So our advisory business completely online, or people, if they want to meet us in person, that's fine. We've also converted the tax and accounting business, bookkeeping business, to completely paperless online.
Oh, wow.
So literally we can run any of our businesses. I goof with people from a Starbucks in like Norway if we wanted to. So whether somebody wants to be in the office, a physical office, meet us at a coffee shop or at their home, or like we're doing now and just have some fun on Zoom.
Uh-huh.
We have no big preference. We pretty much try to understand what's best for the client and what meets their scheduling needs and stuff. So everyone's a little bit different, but simple answer
Oh,
is, Brian, they don't have to come in and like be in our office to do this.
okay, but if they do want to come in, where are you located?
So we've got an office here in Arizona in Scottsdale around it's in the Kierland area, Kierland Commons area. And then in the Pacific Northwest, we have offices in Vancouver, Washington and Everett, Washington. So
Oh, wow, you guys are everywhere. No, so oh, that's interesting. With the state of the economy and all this stuff, what are your thoughts on the market right now and what's going on?
well, so I try to be I'm always very optimistic. I always tell people, I'm always permanently bullish, perma bull, right? So I always think of things are going to be brighter. I think right now, we're kind of in a weird spot, right? And I do a fair amount of writing publicly about this. So I'm a little bit more careful about what I say, at least on this call.
Okay.
I think as long as interest rates are low, assets are going to keep growing, right? Markets should probably do fine. If you were to question any of the Wall Street analysts for the past couple of years, they'll always tell you markets grow at 7%. Well, the overall stock market, depending on which one you're talking about, is up about 20-25% this year, but so is inflation, right? So for a lot of people who are just comfortable leaving their money like in a CD or a bank account, that's not really giving them much growth, probably close to zero. Meanwhile, the cost of things, right, whether it's cereal, gasoline, house prices, tuition, is up as a basket about 6%. So already you're behind. So you have to put your money to work to be able to keep up with inflation. Normally, on any given time, Brian, we try to plan for about 2.5, 2.7% inflation because we look at a bigger window. We don't think it's always going to be 6%, right? Unless you're in the 70s, you're thinking, man, 6 would be great. But as long as interest rates are low, and they may not stay low forever, but they'll probably stay low for a while, I think we'll continue to see the economy grow. And the other thing that's kind of interesting is there's no great consensus on the job market. I know there are a lot of organizations that have a labor shortage, but we keep seeing employment numbers go up. But I think also what's happening that no one's really talking about in the news is that, frankly, a lot of people are trying to go into business for themselves, right?
Mhm.
They're done working for somebody else or collecting a W-2 paycheck, whatever it is. And I think if you look at the backbone of this country, the small business, it's people striking out on their own, hanging a shingle or a digital shingle on Zoom saying, hey, I'm here, I'm open, I'm in business. So I think if you look at like the number of new entity filings, LLCs, corporations, things like that, I think that's kind of what the tea leaves are saying is people who are not going back to work aren't necessarily unemployed. They're trying to start their own business as entrepreneurs, and small business is the backbone of this country.
Oh, wow.
That's
No,
my
so
observation. So
yeah, yeah, no, I mean, I know with investing, it's been up and down, but I know, thank God, the market's been doing well,
mhm,
and yeah, well, I was going to ask you also retirement. A lot
mhm.
of people are, reaching retirement age and including myself.
Yep.
What do you suggest for people? Like I know in all the services you guys offer, one of them is also about retirement and
Sure.
Social Security. Would you advise people, did they take Social Security early or later, or, you know, what do you guys suggest?
Yeah, that's a really great question. If we look at our entire client base on the, call it the financial planning side, we really have two groups. We have one group who is in the accumulation phase. Just think people working, saving stuff, right? The other side is in the distribution phase. They're converting all of that stuff to income to live in retirement. So what we tell people is, if you're getting close to retirement, start to think about like what your budget is or what your run rate or cost is per month, right? And I love the outdoors, right? Whether you're out here in the desert or you're in the mountains, I always tell people, listen, if I could just pick you up and put you in a little cabin and every month you go to the refrigerator and pull money out of a shoebox, how much is it, right? Because if I tell
Yeah.
them to put together a budget, they look at me funny and they get back to me in 3 weeks. But if I tell them, I just got you into the woods somewhere up in the mountains, maybe we're in Flagstaff or somewhere, and I just literally put you in a cabin, take the money out every month. How much do you need? They tell me right away, right? Some number. So I
Uh-huh.
said, okay, great. What are you getting in Social Security? And they're like, they tell me whatever that is. So we take the first number, we subtract the Social Security, and we're left with the balance. Then I simply go, okay, the money that we need, look at the investment accounts you've got, divide it into that. How long does it take to run out? Because everyone always argues with me about the growth of the markets. I use zero growth, right? I use a calculator on my iPhone and I say, okay, you've got so much money. You just told me you need this much a month. Your money will run out when you're 141 years old. So what does that do? That tells them that they're in pretty good shape, because now if we start to apply some growth to it, 1, 2, 3%, right? They see a bigger, brighter future than they started, because a lot of times people just kind of keep their heads in the sand. They just keep working, right? Until they can get Medicare, or their Social Security is high enough, or whatever the situation is. And I say, well, you spent your entire life doing this. Why not just ask a couple of questions? Let us help figure it out. You don't have to even work with us. We'll figure out kind of what those numbers look like. And if you're ready to do it now, right? If you have to work for another 2 or 3 years or part-time, then we're going to clearly tell you that. I think the advantage of being in a position to retire right now is that markets for the past couple of years have exceeded anyone's financial plan, right?
Mm.
Because a lot of planning is usually done in a straight line. And the reality is life doesn't happen in a straight line, right?
Mhm.
Markets don't go in a straight line. So I would say for those people that have surpassed their retirement goals and they haven't yet retired, probably a great time to reassess their risk or look at the overall portfolio and start thinking about, how do I dial that portfolio in for maybe a little bit less risk, a little bit more income, right? Everyone's gotten a little fat and happy because the markets have performed. So
Uh-huh.
now all of a sudden, Brian's medium kind of risk appetite has now gotten aggressive, right? But that can change just as quick. If the markets go down 20 to 30%, Brian or Howard's or anyone's aggressive risk appetite all of a sudden gets very conservative.
Yeah.
This is not the time to change risk appetite. This is the time to use a little bit of discipline and figure out where you are in that kind of pecking order.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Well, God, again, for the viewers that are watching, yeah, we're talking to Howard Morin. Howard, are there any final words of advice that you'd like to give the viewers?
Yeah, I think, have a plan, right? Just like have some sort of plan. It doesn't have to be rocket science. Whether you're trying to drive to Las Vegas, take the best route, build a house, plan your financial future, your kids, have a plan, right? And realize if you can, the resources around you, your family, your community, friends. We all know a lot of people these days with social media and the internet. And if we're not sure of something, right, I can reach out to somebody who has a better background in whatever it is and find out, right?
Mhm.
But also, I guess this is the time to be thankful, grateful. We encourage a lot of charitable giving. This is a great time of year to do that. So I don't want to let that go. Everyone's done really well. For those people that have been investing, have done really well this year, past 2 years. And this is a great time to impact families and give back, right? And it's also good tax wise. And I'm happy to cover that in a future session. But I appreciate this, Brian, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate just talking one-on-one with you. And if it helps anyone get started, like I just tried to do when I was 16, writing stuff down, that would be awesome.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, Howard, yeah, it's great to meet you and thank you for being on the show. So again, viewers, yeah, give him a call, get in touch with him. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge and here's a number, 425-214-1533. Is that a good one to call?
Yeah, I think I'm extension one. If there's a choice, I'll
Oh,
either say my
okay.
name or like extension one. I think I'm extension one. And
Oh,
then
okay.
yeah, so a lot of information online.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you so much and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Brian. Thank you.
Okay.